I never thought I'd be the kind of person to end up in a story like this. The kind you scroll past on Reddit late at night and think, that's wild, but that'll never be me. But it was me. I met Ryan at a mutual friend's barbecue. He wasn't loud, not flashy, but he had this calm, confident way about him. You know when someone makes you feel like you're the only person in the room? That was him. We clicked instantly. From the first date to moving in together, it all felt so natural. Easy even. I honestly thought I found the one. My sister Chloe had always been the outgoing one. Life of the party. Never short of attention. I looked up to her a lot growing up. She could charm anyone, including, apparently, my boyfriend. Back then, I would have told you Chloe and Ryan barely talked. She was friendly, sure, asked about him sometimes, but nothing that ever set off alarms. Looking back, though, there were moments, tiny ones, like how she always asked if he'd be at family events, or how he once complimented her dress a little too long, even while holding my hand, but I brushed it off. Because when you love someone, and when it's your own family, you never think betrayal is even possible. At least, I didn't. Now I wish I had trusted that gut feeling. That little voice in my head telling me something wasn't right. But I was too in love, too loyal, too blind. And what I didn't know back then was that the people closest to me were about to destroy me. It started with a text. One night, Ryan was in the shower and his phone lit up on the nightstand. I wasn't trying to snoop. I really wasn't. But when I glanced at it, the name on the screen made my stomach drop. It was Chloe. Now normally, I wouldn't think twice. They were friends through me, right? But the message wasn't casual. It just said, "Last night was risky, but worth it." I froze. I stared at the screen for a while, trying to convince myself I misunderstood. That maybe they were talking about something innocent, a surprise party, a prank, anything but what I knew deep down. When Ryan came out, I handed him the phone and just said, "Open it." He looked confused at first, then scared, and that was it. That was all I needed to see. He didn't even try to lie. He just sat on the bed, towel still around his shoulders, and started apologizing, saying it just happened, saying he didn't plan it, that it only happened once. But I knew that was a lie too. The way he said it, the way his voice cracked. This wasn't new. This had been going on. I walked out and called Chloe. I still don't know why I did. Maybe some part of me hoped she'd deny it, that it wasn't true. But she answered, went quiet, and then whispered, "I'm sorry." That broke me. It wasn't just Ryan who betrayed me. It was my sister, my best friend growing up, the one person I thought would always have my back. And in that moment, everything collapsed. The relationship, the family bond, my trust in people. It was like my whole life cracked in half, and I was standing right in the middle, trying to catch the pieces as they fell. The days after that phone call felt like I was floating outside my own body. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, heart racing, thinking it was just a nightmare. But it wasn't. The man I loved, and the sister I grew up with, had turned into strangers overnight. And worse than the pain was the silence. Nobody knew what to say. My parents begged me not to make things messy with Chloe. A couple of our mutual friends said they didn't want to take sides. I felt like the villain in my own story for simply reacting to betrayal. For weeks, I isolated myself. I barely left the apartment. I'd sit on the couch with my phone in my hand, scrolling aimlessly, hoping the numbness would wear off. I'd go back and read old texts from Ryan, photos with Chloe, trying to figure out when it all shifted. How did I miss it? Was I not enough? Was I just too naive? It's crazy how betrayal makes you question everything about yourself. You start blaming yourself for someone else's choices. And that's exactly where I was, drowning in self-doubt. But somewhere, in the middle of all that pain, something inside me cracked open. Not in a dramatic way, Just a quiet little voice saying, "You don't deserve this." That was the start. I didn't forgive them. Not yet. But I decided I had to save myself. I started journaling every day. I signed up for therapy. I reached out to friends I hadn't talked to in a while, not for gossip, but for real connection. And slowly, I began to understand something important. Their betrayal said nothing about my worth. It only revealed who they really were. I used to think revenge meant getting even, that maybe I'd post the texts, blast them on social media, expose everything. And trust me, those thoughts crossed my mind. A lot. But when I sat with it, I realized something. That kind of revenge would just keep me stuck, still tied to their mess, still reacting, still hurting. So, I chose a different kind of revenge. I chose to rebuild. I blocked both of them. No dramatic exit, no screaming match, just silence. And it was the most powerful thing I've ever done. Because silence isn't weakness, it's control. Instead of sinking deeper into the pain, I poured myself into healing. I hit the gym, not for a glow-up post, but because I needed to feel strong again. I picked up freelancing work I'd been scared to start before. I reconnected with friends who made me laugh without asking a million questions. And day by day, I became someone I hadn't seen in a long time, myself. A few months later, Chloe reached out. She sent this long message about how sorry she was, how things with Ryan didn't work out, how she missed me. But I didn't reply. Not out of hate, just clarity. I realized I didn't need an apology to move on. I didn't need them to feel bad. The real win was how I chose to rise. And that's the part no one tells you about healing. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's simply living a life so full and peaceful that the people who broke you can't even recognize you anymore. That's what I gave myself. And honestly, that was the ultimate revenge. I wish I could say that after all this, everything went back to normal, but it didn't. And honestly, that's okay. Some things break for a reason. Some people leave so you can find space to grow. And what I've learned is that healing doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means choosing not to carry it anymore. It took me months to stop waking up with that heavy feeling in my chest, to stop asking myself, why me, every single day. But slowly, the questions changed. They became, what do I want, and what do I deserve? And the answers? Peace, self-respect, joy that isn't tied to someone else's approval. If you're watching this and you've been betrayed, whether by a partner, a friend, or even your own family, I want you to hear this. It's not your fault. You didn't deserve it, and you're not alone. There is life after betrayal, and not just survival, real, beautiful life. I'm living proof. So, if this story hit you in the heart, or if you've been through something similar, tell me about it in the comments. You never know who you might help just by sharing your voice. And if you're still on your healing journey, know this. I'm rooting for you. Don't forget to like the video if this gave you something real today. And subscribe if you want more stories that speak to what we all go through but rarely say out loud. Because pain might be part of our story, but it's never the whole story.